The dust rises over Limburg. A sea of gravel stretches ahead. And among the rumble of tires and the roar of determination, one man is about to rewrite his story. For 2 years, Florian Vermeersch came close. Twice the silver medalist. Twice left wanting more. But this time, the Belgian powerhouse wasn't settling for second. This time, he was ready to turn silver into gold. This is the story of grit, redemption, and dominance at the 2025 UCI Gravel World Championships, where Florian Vermeersch didn't just win, he conquered. It was a crisp morning in Limburg. The sun struggled through an overcast sky as the elite men lined up in Beek, ready to face 181 kilometers of chaos, most of it on gravel, much of it uphill. Two cities just 14 kilometers apart, Beek and Maastricht, but between them lay 180 kilometers of punishment, over 1,600 meters of climbing, dozens of gravel sections, and 200 of the best riders on Earth, ready to destroy each other for the rainbow jersey. Belgium arrived in force, a wall of blue. Vermeersch, Van Tricht, Hermans, Wellens, all determined to reclaim cycling's new frontier, gravel. Vermeersch wasn't the loudest man on the start line. He didn't need to be. The scars of 2 silvers still burned in his memory. He had been here before, feeling the sting of almost. Second to Mohoric, second to Van der Poel, always close, never quite enough. But this time, he looked sharper, leaner, focused. This was not a man chasing a podium. This was a man hunting for redemption. The race began like a thunderstorm. From the very first kilometers, chaos ruled. Dust filled the air as the peloton snaked through narrow Dutch lanes, riders bouncing and slipping on gravel. Within an hour, the peloton had already thinned to half its size. Flats, crashes, punctures. Every kilometer eliminated someone. And for Florian, disaster nearly struck early. Just 10 kilometers in, he punctured. He would later recall, "It was a really hectic start, and after 10K I had a puncture, but luckily 20K later I could get back to the peloton." Most riders would panic. Vermeersch didn't. He clawed his way back, one rider, one turn, one breath at a time. By the time the dust settled, the first breakaway had formed. 3 men. Quinten Hermans for Belgium, Connor Swift for Great Britain, and Pepijn Reinderink of the Netherlands. Their lead lasted just 5 kilometers. The peloton was merciless. Then at 125 kilometers to go, the real move came. Florian Vermeersch attacked, joined by his teammate Floris Van Tricht and Dutch rider Frits Bijsterboos. Behind them, the peloton scattered. Even Nils Pullet and Magnus Bach-Claris struggled to organize a chase. But the 3 in front were flying. Belgian teamwork at its best. For a while, they worked smoothly. 3 riders against the world. Their gap grew to a minute, then 90 seconds, then nearly 2. Vermeersch was already doing what few dared, driving hard from over 100 kilometers out. But gravel is a cruel game. Every bump, every rock, every short climb chips away at you. By 70 kilometers to go, riders began to fade. Pullet fell back. Van Tricht started to waver. And behind them, chaos was brewing. Pidcock was on the move. Mohoric, last year's champion, was chasing again. And the gravel gladiators were closing in. Yet Vermeersch stayed calm. He wasn't just riding. He was sculpting the race. The Belgian style is unique. No wild accelerations, no showmanship, just raw, steady power, the kind of relentless rhythm that breaks legs and souls. With 50 kilometers to go, the lead trio, Vermeersch, Van Tricht, and Bijsterboos, still held their gap. Behind them, the chasers, Mohoric, Steely, Hermans, and Pidcock, were fighting just to stay in contact. But every turn of the pedals told the same story. Vermeersch was the strongest man in Limburg. By now, the race had become pure attrition. Each gravel section claimed another victim. At 32 kilometers to go, Van Tricht cracked. Florian looked back, then pressed on with Bijsterboos still clinging to his wheel. Behind them, Mohoric surged again, trying to bridge. But every time he closed a few seconds, Vermeersch opened more. And then came the decisive moment. A narrow wooded section, packed dirt, silence except for the hum of the chain. With 19 kilometers to go, Florian Vermeersch attacked. It wasn't flashy, no out-of-the-saddle drama, just sheer power. Bijsterboos couldn't match it. The gap opened. 10 seconds, 20, 45. The world champion was alone. From there, it was man versus road. The Dutchman behind gave everything he had, but the Belgian was flying. Mohoric, further back, was pushing too, but the rainbow dream was slipping from his grasp. Vermeersch's face stayed calm, every movement measured, every breath deliberate. No panic, no weakness. He had waited 2 years for this moment, and now the gravel was his kingdom. As he entered the final kilometers, the crowd in Maastricht erupted. He had time to celebrate, to soak it in. The weight of silver medals past fell away with every rotation of his wheels. And then, just meters from the line, he climbed off his bike, lifted his Colnago high above his head, and roared. A statement, a redemption, a coronation. For Florian Vermeersch, this victory meant more than a rainbow jersey. It was the end of a long, painful road. He said it best himself. It's not only this race, it's the end of a long comeback, I would say. To win again after 2 difficult years is really amazing. The Belgian had endured injury, bad luck, and disappointment. But he never lost faith. And in Limburg, he finally turned his heartbreak into history. Behind him, Frits Bijsterboos crossed the line, silver for the Netherlands. The young Dutchman couldn't stop smiling. He later admitted, "I knew he would attack at some point. I was just not strong enough to follow." Bronze went to Matej Mohoric, the defending champion who fought until the end but couldn't match the Belgians' dominance. For all of them, the day had been brutal. But for Vermeersch, it was glorious. The 181-kilometer course had devoured many favorites. Tim Merlier, one of Belgium's biggest names, never even started. Dozens of others abandoned mid-race, victims of punctures, fatigue, and the ruthless rhythm of gravel racing. But for those who reached the finish, it was clear. This wasn't just another race. It was a war of endurance, fought on the most demanding terrain cycling has to offer. 80% gravel, 650 meters of climbing, 6 brutal gravel sectors in the final 18 kilometers. And at the end of it all, one man stood alone. As the Belgian flag rose above the finish, it wasn't just a victory for Vermeersch. It was a victory for gravel racing itself. In just a few short years, gravel has transformed from a niche discipline into cycling's wild frontier, where road tactics meet off-road grit and legends are forged from chaos. And no one embodied that transformation better than Florian Vermeersch, from heartbreak in 2023, to disappointment in 2024, to dominance in 2025. It's a story of persistence, of evolution, a testament to what happens when talent meets patience and pain meets purpose. Florian Vermeersch didn't just win the World Championships, he defined them. In the days after the race, cycling fans flooded social media. Words like masterclass, redemption, and unstoppable echoed across timelines. Even his rivals showed respect. Mohoric called it a ride worthy of a true champion. Bijsterboos said he learned more from chasing Vermeersch than from any victory of his own. For the sport, this was a reminder. Greatness doesn't always come easy. Sometimes it takes years of near misses, thousands of training hours, and one perfect day to make it all worthwhile. And so, as the dust settled over Limburg, one image remained etched in every fan's mind. A lone Belgian rider, hoisting his bike high under a pale Dutch sky. Florian Vermeersch, finally a world champion. From silver to gold, from heartbreak to glory, from chasing history to making